This is a presentation of Northeast Streaming Sports. You're listening to TGI Sports Talk with your host, Keith Angle, on Northeast Streaming Sports.
Keith Angle, welcome to TGI Sports Talks. Are you serious? I'll be joined by my co-host, the Mad New Yorker, in just a little bit. Hope you guys are all doing well at the end of another week. One more week left in September. Major League Baseball races coming down to the wire. Aaron Judge chasing a triple crown. Right now, he leads in all three categories, as well as chasing the American League, the American League, and in some people's mind, the Major League Baseball single-season home run record. We'll talk about that today. We'll talk about our top games in the college football world today and the NFL roundup as well. We'll see where those topics take us with the Mad New Yorker, who'll join us in just a second, and your comments as well. Welcome to all of you watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, live this morning. We'll be on Roku at noon. With a replay of this. Also, make sure you tune in for the Sunday Stream of Consciousness on Sunday at 8:30, our new time, and the College Football Huddle, which is live 7 o'clock. You'll see some replays of that today and probably tomorrow morning. And I just want to say thank you. I was on a guest on the Liberty Bell Smack yesterday out of Philadelphia with Mark Mancini and Sal and Marianne and that crew, and also a fellow guest, Austin Haynes, who's a life coach, and was very interesting being on and interacting with all of them. That show is heard, by the way, on WWDAM Talk 860 out of Philadelphia. You can also go to their website and listen to the show. It's on Facebook. I shared it to my pages last night. We had a very interesting hour, and certainly Sal is a big follower of my show, so I appreciate him for that. And Mark Mancini is a big contributor as well. So we had a lot of fun doing that last night. And with no further ado, I will bring in, after a quick good morning, Alan. How are you, Alan? Judge almost got to 61. Yeah, we'll talk about that. He's about a foot short last night. Good morning, Carlos. How are you? The Mad New Yorker joins us live.
Good morning. Happy Friday, everybody. How's it going, Keith?
It's going well. How are you, Carlos?
I'm doing all right. Just trying to stay up. A lot of stuff going on in sports this week.
I had a lot going on myself, and I forgot to mention at the top of the show. I've tried to do this at all my shows as well. I guess only the college football show so far, but my new granddaughter made it to the world at 2:53 a.m. Tuesday morning. So
congratulations, Keith.
Little baby Scarlett. So
nice. What a beautiful name.
My poor wife is just a sleepless mess right now because she's been with them every step of the way.
Oh, wow.
And it's a fun time. So me, I'm doing the hard lifting. I'm working. I'm doing these shows.
Don't worry about it. After 1 year, you're gonna be in the mix. When that baby's 2, she's gonna run right to you.
Yeah, well, that's all I want. Is I want to get her all hyped up and send her home. That's my job, right? I mean, so that's what I'm looking forward to. So everybody's happy, and a lot of congratulations have come my way. So thank you for all of that. The world of sports is wild. Again, I always talk about anyway. September and October are just awesome with baseball winding down, playoffs around the corner. The NFL, lots of big stuff going on there, and college football too. And we're going to touch on all of that today.
Yeah, and you got the NBA having some news, and then you have NHL coming back soon. So.
NBA never seems any good news, though, do they? I'm doing a vlog on Ime Aduka today, and I don't get these guys. Anyway, we won't focus there. We'll focus right now on our task at hand. I want to actually, we can talk about this. I was going to talk to pennant races first. Let's get into Major League Baseball. Things are starting to come into focus. Yankees in pretty good shape as the Blue Jays and Rays have kind of leveled off. Probably not going into the playoffs the way you'd want to, kind of playing 500 baseball the last, I don't know, at least the last 10 games and probably longer. The Yankees, on the other hand, getting it together, 8-2 in their last 10. Still some issues in that bullpen that I'd be concerned about, but and Aaron Judge, obviously. And in some ways, I think the Aaron Judge chase here for both the Triple Crown, which right now he leads all three categories, and the chase for 61 is maybe taking the heat off the Yankees a little bit too.
Yep.
So that might have helped them somewhat.
Maybe he is the MVP of the league.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, I can't believe the conversations I still have. Ohtani is a great player, man, but valuable, it means something better than best, right?
Right.
God, and by the way, I'll make an argument Judge is a better player too. Well, he can't pitch.
He can't pitch, man.
He can't pitch, but gosh,
It makes a difference if you think about it.
No, I know. And again, that's a different topic, and we'll argue about that on another day. But Judge is having an historic season. The number of categories he leads is just phenomenal. It's not just RBIs, home runs, and batting average, but I mean slugging percentage, runs. I mean, you could throw in about 20 different offensive categories he leads the league in, and he's been phenomenal. And again, the Yankees would be nowhere without him. Just missed it last night in the ninth inning. Mm-hmm. I thought he hit it. When he hit it, I jumped out of my seat.
Everybody got up and everybody got excited, and then it just fell short about a foot and a half.
I think that you know what? Probably if it was August and we had a hot summer night last night, that ball probably would have been out. It looked like it kind of just died as it got towards the warning track there. So tough break there. He'll get it. The question is going to be, how far does he go? The Yankees still have 13 games left. He's not getting to 73, obviously. So, I don't know where you fall on this. I know where I fall. This is the American League record. This is Roger Maris's record. This is a Yankee record. So it's all big in that contest historically, no matter what. But is he the real Major League Baseball home run champion if he gets to 62?
So before I start on the spiel, it's been a tough year for baseball. Lost a lot of guys, and Mr. Maury Willis of the Dodgers, rest in peace. Yeah. So, he was a great Dodger, great baseball player. He went to Cordaza High School, so.
Oh, really?
In Brooklyn, yeah. So,
player changed the game of baseball a lot in the 60s, for sure. Nobody was stealing bases when he started stealing bases. So, and rest in peace, Maury Wills. Great person, lived a great life. 92, I think he was. Is that right?
89.
89. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. I had it written down here. I should have mentioned it at the top, but very good point.
So if you guys don't know about him or know a little about him, just look him up, and just want to pay my respects and just, rest in peace.
Former National League MVP himself, actually.
So you mentioned a little bit of everything on the intro to the question. Let's start with the Yankees and the fact that Judge is getting a lot of hype. He's shouldering a lot of the, the bad and the good that comes with what it is to be a Yankee. He's doing a good job at that. The fact that he's, going for history helps a lot, helps the team a lot. You see that Gleyber Torres came out of a slump. You see that Donaldson's been hitting the ball a little bit better. All those little things, help this team try to get on the same page so that they can get ready for the playoffs. Whether that's something that Boone is doing or not, who knows? At this juncture, it's just these guys are just getting ready to get going for the playoffs, and they're on a good run right now. They're riding a good wave, and they're hitting enough where their pitching doesn't matter. But I hope they can keep doing that, because the pitching is going to be what's going to push them further in the long run. And that's with almost every team that's going to enter the playoffs. Is that pitching staff, is that bullpen going to be strong enough? As far as him chasing this record, he probably won't reach the 73. The fact that he's done what he's done with the home runs, facing as many different pitchers, different speeds, different velocity, different time, climate, how it changes through the season.
Yeah.
That within itself is remarkable. And he deserves a lot of respect for that, So
don't forget the pressure he put on himself. He bet on himself by not signing what he thought wasn't enough with the Yankees. And you know what? You can think whatever you want to think about that, but Aaron Judge bet on himself, and he won big time.
Yeah, that's another thing, and that's something I feel like it's more personal for him than anything else.
Yeah.
And I try to tell people, you have to feel that you belong. You have to feel that you're a part of something. And people question what's he doing with the Yankees, and why the Yankees not, why are the Yankees not putting up more money? It does, at the end of it, doesn't matter, because he's going to choose whether he wants to be a Yankee or not. It has nothing to do with what the Yankees have to offer. If he doesn't go into that into that locker room, and he's not the number one paid player, then he's not going to be a Yankee. And that's the way I see it, because that's, you have to give credit where credit's due, and he's earned it. And if you don't get that respect back, then that's, he's got to look at Cole, and he's got to look at Stanton, and they're going to look back at him and be like, "You're the man, and you deserve what you get." And if that's not happening, then he's not a Yankee next season.
Yeah, again, this is the Kansas City Royals. The Yankees can afford to pay him. They'll recoup this money in no time off the field. So real quick, Neil makes a comment, and I'd love you to elaborate, because I want to know what I didn't drink the Kool-Aid about, Neil, just before I say you're welcome, because I'm not sure what I said that said I'm not drinking ESPN Kool-Aid, which I try not to, by the way. ESPN and I have a long history of not liking each other. Well, I guess they don't give a crap about me. But
well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's good to have different outlets. It's good to be able to see different perspectives. Here at Northeast Streaming Sports, we give an opportunity for the fans and avid watchers of games to share their own opinions, and this is why we're here, right? So
yeah. And to Kenny's point, he's right. The playoffs are a different beast, but I do think the Yanks have a dominant pitcher. Garrett Cole can go out there and throw up a stinker. We've seen it. Right. But he's one of the most dominant pitchers in baseball. He just is. He's finished fourth in the top four in the Cy Young the last 4 years. Probably won't this year, but no, he can go out there and be dominant any given night. And you've also got Nestor, who's certainly capable, and you've got Tyon, who's pitched well at times as well. Plus, I don't know what's going to happen with Severino. I don't know that we're going to see him at all.
Well, they held him back this long to make sure that he was ready for this stretch run. Yeah, to make sure that he had enough tank in the gas. I mean, enough gas in the tank. I think, and it's possible that he's going to be in the mix. So
I think you'll see him in the bullpen. I think in the playoffs, I'm almost positive.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't be a bad thing, because the bullpen needs some addressing as well. So again, to me, the Yankees pitching, I'm not really worried about the starting pitching. I'm worried about them, hitting dominant starters in the playoffs. That's what I'm worried about. That's where they've struggled for ever since even past Aaron Boone, back to Joe Girardi, they've struggled with this.
Yeah, but Keith, understand this, that when it comes to the playoffs, all it takes is 2 or 3 hits to get some of those pitchers rattled. You get them out of the game, and all these pitchers that are dominant right now, that's what it is they've been dominant because nobody's hitting them. But even Max Scherzer for the Mets, when he pitched a few times in some of these games, gave up a homer, got into a mess. Sometimes he got out of it, but the last few games he hasn't got out of it, and he's gotten taken out of games. So
you can scratch out some runs without home runs. That's what I want to see, right? So
yeah.
And, this team can, I'm confident. Now they've got, again, 13 games or so to kind of get themselves right, get guys healthy, rest some guys, because they're going to win this Eastern Division. It would take a Mets-like collapse, sorry, to lose this. And maybe not this Mets team. I'm referring to another season that probably Met fans remember. You get your pitching straight, you get them lined up for the playoffs, and hopefully maybe, and you find out what you got in a guy like Bader, who's going to get activated here and play a little bit, and find out what you're going to get out of him in the playoffs, and find the right mix, right? Which I think the Yankees are starting to find.
Yeah, and if you look at it in the last 3 games, their hitting has been kind of on point. They have a few innings here and there where they look like the same old Yankees, where they're just swinging the bat, but that confidence that you get when you're winning games helps the mindset to hit during games and get better at hitting. And that's what the Yankees have been doing in the last 3 games. You see guys like Gleyber Torres, Donaldson, like I said, they're getting out of these small little slumps that they were in. You see even IKF, he's in there playing better, getting better at defense. He should be trying to swing the bat a little bit more, but he has, there's a lot of stuff going on there that are small little things that will eventually, as long as they all get on the same page, it'll help them out, because it's gonna be a long series for them going into the playoffs for sure.
And Kenny's point about the Mets are the best pitching staff, and that includes the Dodgers. I don't just look at both those staffs have better staffs than the Yankees. I'm not saying that. I'm saying they've got a guy who can be a dominant number one in the pitchers that you mentioned. I'm not saying they're better than the Mets, the Dodgers, or even the Braves, to be honest.
I think the Astros got everybody beat right now.
The Astros just have, they got the bullpen. They got I think they have the most complete pitching staff, probably the most complete team.
They've gotten hit up here in the last few days, but that's just because their hitting hasn't been to par. And so I think they're just getting tired at that, at this point. So we'll see how they rest, recoup, and get ready for the playoffs. But the Astros are beatable.
They are.
But you have to be able to match up, arm for arm and bat for bat. So
maybe if the Yankees get to the Astros, which I hope they do, maybe they should wear an A's or a Rangers uniform in that series, because the Astros have struggled against those teams at times.
Well, again, when I mentioned this, and then I'll keep saying this, those teams that aren't ranked or don't have an opportunity for a playoff position, they got nothing to lose, and they're bringing up guys left to right, and some of these guys are playing for contracts. And that makes them a little bit scary to play towards the end of the season.
Yeah.
I mentioned to you that the Oakland A's have a great, minor league system, and they have guys coming up that should have been up a couple years ago. Now that they contracted, they have more of an opportunity to show their skill set. And some of these players coming up, you guys, we want to watch some good baseball. Watch the A's play the last few weeks of this season, and not because. And you're going to see some good players, just like when the Cubs came in and beat the Mets. They had a couple good young players on that team, and they're exciting to watch. If you like to watch baseball, if you want to watch your team win, that's different. I don't
think I'm going to get a lot of the time to watch the A's play here. We'll have plenty of time to talk about the A's over the winter. And Kenny, you're right. Your comment's right, and I'm still saying the same thing. If the Yankees lose, the hitting will let them down. So your comment was about pitching. I said the Yankees have enough pitching. And as I think I commented, maybe you're just reiterating what I said. If the Yankees don't play better than they have all this season against top-notch pitchers, they're going to have a problem, especially when they get to the Astros. We'll see. Interior defense has been a weakness recently. That was one of the things that helped them early in the year to get off that a great start. The things that hurt them last year, defense, base running, just mental mistakes they had eliminated. And in the second half, it had gotten worse. Now, recently, I think the defense has played much better. So we'll see if that continues and needs to continue, because you need that. That's the type. Again, runs are so precious, whether you give them up or don't get them in the playoffs. You can't be giving away runs for sure. And for once, Alan's not the one who brings up the Rangers. Good point. Let's talk about the Mets a little bit. The Mets, I think the Mets and Braves are having this. And to me, I understand wild cards, money, more teams involved. I guess I can't be a promoter of a college football expansion playoff, but really be such a derider of adding teams in baseball to the playoffs. I shouldn't be, at least. But one of the things you lose, while this is a great divisional playoff race, it loses a little bit of its luster because the loser's getting into playoffs. I mean, it's important,
right?
Because you're skipping that first round. But this has been a great race. Until recently, these teams were just matching win for win for nearly a week. It's been a tremendous race down the stretch. And Mets fans should be very happy. This team has had plenty of chances to fold up the tents like they thought they would. A lot of the Met fans, the pessimistic ones anyway. And they haven't done it. They have stayed there and gone tooth for tooth with the is that a real thing? Tooth for tooth against the Braves. And I'm impressed with what they've done. You know how I feel about Showalter. I think that has a lot to do with it, but also having DeGrom and Scherzer doesn't hurt either. So I still think they may win this division, but the Braves may ultimately win out in the postseason against the Mets, if that were to come to that. We'll see.
Well, the Braves was a tough kid, a good baseball player in Albies. He solidified that defense, even if people don't realize that how good he was. As far as being someone like Lindor that could manage that infield a little bit, not just with his skill set, but with his baseball mind. And so That's going to be hard on the Braves to replace.
Team. He's shown something after the year he had last year, right? You know, a lot of guys go the other way. Lindor stepped up to be a leader on that team, and I really like what I've seen out of him this year.
Yeah, so Albies not being there for the Braves. That pitching staff's kind of recuperating, getting a few guys back, which is better for them. But again,
Albies went out again, right?
I'm sorry.
Albies went out hurt again.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, is that what you said? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they got a couple pitchers that were coming back from major injuries, and they're gonna try to figure that out. I'm not sure how much effect they'll have to the rest of that pitching staff. But morning, Bob. How you doing? But the Mets, the bats are starting to swing, the balls are starting to fall, and they're getting games that they can actually do more consistently, but they don't. And that's one of the things that we have to look out for the Mets is, are those bats going to keep being alive? And is that pitching staff going to be able to keep them, having them in the game and not having them, to kind of catch up? Because when you play catch up, it's harder on the team. And if you're in a series, it's what, has these guys linger and makes them tired. So they can't do that, even though that's their forte, coming back and playing, baseball and getting back into games. They can't do that. They can't afford to do that in the playoffs. They don't have enough time, and the energy level is so high that it'll waste them, and they'll be, as much as they got into the playoffs, they're going to be just as fast getting out. So they have to be careful.
Yeah, just to back up for a second, Kenny's talking about Houston. He's absolutely right about their season, a mentally tough team, because they put up a lot during this whole cheating scandal that, I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but so overblown. It's nonsensical. Everybody's trying to do the same things, and they get.
Yeah, I mean, and it's a different coaching staff too. And kudos to Dusty Baker for getting these guys on a winning mentality. He doesn't get any credit for that. And when you get those players into a winning mentality and get their confidence up and playing with confidence, that goes a long, long way. He's done it on every team he's coached, and they've always been in the run. If they don't get far, it doesn't matter, but he gets them there. And at the end of the day, he sets them up to win. And if they don't play the game, that's the reason why he doesn't end up in the World Series sometimes. Some people say, oh, he makes bad calls, but man, he ain't the one on the field at the end of the day.
Oh, he's also run into some really good teams in the playoffs.
He has.
And some bad luck in some places too, in Chicago.
Yeah. Some of the teams he's had haven't been deep enough for him to get where he wants to be. So,
being a Yankee fan, I can't be rooting for them, but I mean, I've got two great rooting interests as far as managers go to get to a World Series and win one, in Buck and Dusty, and I can't root for them until the Yankees are out, and hopefully that doesn't happen. So.
Could you imagine that? Dusty Baker versus Buck Showalter sounds like one of those 90 games.
It does take us back for sure, and that would be a lot of fun. And Dusty's a very underrated manager for sure.
Very underrated. No, very, very, very underappreciated by the Major League Baseball Association. I mean,
every team he went to, he turned around. He turned the Dodgers around. The Dodgers. Good grief.
The Cubs.
The Giants originally. He turned the Giants around. Barry Bonds had something to do with that, but he was the manager. He turned the Cubs around. He went to the Reds and turned them around. He went to the Nationals and got them quite a ways in the playoffs after they had a downward turn. And now he's coming into what was a mess in Houston with suspensions and firings and everything else. And his steady hand has had a lot to do with this. You're absolutely right.
And his baseball acumen is above, it's high, man. And look, if you throw the game to the side, everybody loves being around everybody. And, and they respect him, and he gets a lot out of the guys that play for him. And, I'm sure he gets a lot back too, because, man's been around for a long time, and he's a father figure to a lot of guys, and a lot of guys owe him, for leading them in the right direction, especially being young men growing up into older men and all the stuff that baseball players have to endure during a long season, man. Some of the troubles that they can get into and things like that. And credit to Dusty, like he's always done a good job, cleaning up the mess and helping these guys kind of try to get back on the saddle. He's moved people down who've been good players to the minors just to get their head straight. So
he's been a great, and Dusty versus Buck, as you said earlier, Alan's kind of jumping on that. I agree. I want the Yankees there, obviously. I'm not hedging at all. But as an old guy, seeing Dusty and Buck face off would be fun because, young guys are the trend in Major League Baseball today as managers go. So.
And here we go, Keith. If Buck Showalter and Baker face off, you're gonna watch one of the most exciting baseball games in a long time because they both play defense, small ball, and they're both gritty, and their actual pitching staffs almost. I'm not gonna say because the Mets have a good pitching staff, almost kind of line up with each other. Almost.
I think the Astros bullpen's a bit deeper. But
yeah. But here's a problem that the media and everybody kind of spins is that they don't give credit where credit is due. And this season, Bassett has pitched very well.
I'm just talking about the bullpens. I mean, starting pitching wise, they match up.
Yeah, but they're not going to be able to put everybody in the start. Like you have Carrasco, you have Tyler McGill coming back.
Well, that's the Mets' biggest question. Who's going to be the fourth starter? Is it going to be Carrasco? Is it going to be Walker?
That's the thing. So and I was going to get to that. So if you put Walker in, if you have Carrasco in the bullpen, man, you're not. It's like having Servino in the bullpen. You're not losing anything. And then on top of that, you still have Taylor McGill, who'll probably be in the bullpen as well. And people keep saying, and I don't know if it's right, but what's his name? His name Lucchesi might come back as well, maybe. So and if he does, he doesn't. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. But they have a little bit of depth to move around, and a pitcher. I think Carrasco will probably end up in the bullpen, and I'll tell you why, because he has experience in playoffs.
Yeah,
and he's more of a guy who wants to be in the game, and I don't think he'll care if he's starting or if he's going to come in. So
that was going to be my comment. It's who's going to be their most comfortable, think it can handle that change in role. And Walker, I do not think is as sure a thing as Carrasco being able to mentally get himself into that reliever role. So I think you're right. I think Carrasco could be a great weapon middle of the game, be able to bring him in for a couple innings, right? And he's got some great stuff when he's on. He's still one of the better pitchers in baseball when he's got.
Another underrated player, one more, is Williams.
Yeah, I'll give you that too. How about Peterson? Is Peterson will be in the bullpen probably, right?
Yeah, Peterson will be in the bullpen, but I think you would put in Carrasco, you would put in Williams, McGill, and then you would put in Peterson in the back end if you had to.
Yeah, I agree with Kenny here a lot. Older guys still, again, they've got to accept the analytics, the stuff a little bit, or they're not going to get a job. So they got to at least give it good, give it lip service, right? But they still will manage by the seat of their pants, if you will. They have a feel for the game. That's what the young guys don't have. The young guys don't seem to have a grasp of what's actually happening in front of them. They're too busy looking at a stat sheet, numbers, and they don't look at the fact that a guy just went through a 1-2-3 inning and threw 7 pitches, and they say, well, now I got to get him out because he's not my 8th inning guy. And it's just, that's bad baseball. It just doesn't make logical sense.
Well, the thing about analytics and the thing about the older coach types, older mindset is that you're going against technology, right? That's the biggest thing is you're trying to support yourself and lean on technology instead of watch what's going on the field, like you said. And sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing. Listen, the analytics, they're there for a reason. And it shouldn't be a reason that kills you in the game at the end of the day. So, right. That's what a manager has to kind of, go by. And if he does, he does. And either way, he's doomed if he don't win the game. So,
yeah, good point. As we talk about things to watch, the Cardinals who really are locked in where they are. They're not moving up or down as far as where they're going to be slotted in the playoffs. And they could be a dangerous team to play because they got a lot of weapons. The thing to watch there, and it gives them a chance really to play Pujols every day as he winds down his career here, and he goes for 700. He's been stuck on 698 for a little bit here. And I can't think of a person that's rooting against Albert Pujols to join the 700 club and be just a 4th guy to get there. So that's one of the big stories to watch here as well. And is anybody rooting against Albert? How can you?
No, I don't think so. I think maybe his ex-wife.
Well, I would think she'd want him to get it too because he's liable to get some endorsement money, and
I don't know how that situation is working out, but look, at the end of the day, one of the best players to go on, a little bit underrated, and now that he's at the end of his career, he's getting his due, right? So, per respects to Albert Pujols, and hopefully he gets that 700.
I think we talked on this show, and I know I've talked on others about how earlier in the year we were a little surprised that Albert wasn't getting a little bit more of a big send-off, right? And I think this has put him into the limelight and giving him, he's not getting his days in every ballpark, but so what?
Yeah, come on, Albert. It's Hispanic Heritage Month. Let's get 700. Do it for Puerto Rico. Let's go.
Right. You look at only four guys have gotten here, and it'd be very, one of them's a little dubious as well. So
even though he's Dominican, he could help out the island there by just representing Latinos.
I'll be there too in 20 some days. I'll be on. Well, hopefully, the hurricane beat up the Dominican the other day, so I'm not sure. It hit two of our ports anyway. So
no,
I'm not sure exactly where we'll be going, but I'll be going somewhere.
Barbados.
Yeah, I hope all those people are okay. They can just send me out to sea for a week. I'll be fine. Let's switch gears a little bit. We'll certainly have more on this topic next week for sure. Let's jump real quick before we go to the NFL. College football is in full gear. Upsets galore, great finishes galore, disappointments galore. My Miami Hurricanes really come up with a stinker against A&M after kind of outplaying them and still losing the game because they can't put the ball in the end zone.
Credit to A&M. They did something that they don't do much, and that's play a little bit of defense when it mattered.
That's when it mattered, and they kept them out of the end zone. Five field goal attempts. It was all they gave up. Then they only made 3 of them. So look at Miami kind of goes.
That sounds like some SEC football right there.
Goes out of the balloon. So what are you looking forward to this week? We talked about coming up with 3 of the matchups we want to watch this week. I've got my 3. I'll let you start.
All right, so
we probably have one at least that's the same, I guarantee you.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the Florida UT game.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah, we'll start there. It's going to be a great game in Neyland Stadium, and it's going to be a wave of orange because Florida has similar colors. They're not the same, but they're similar. And I look to see Tennessee keep their defensive strategy going. And holding off the Florida Gators, and we might see a game that may surpass 30 points for Tennessee, and it might end up being 30 something to 27. I don't think they'll go past 30 points, but
Well, this team has lost, I think, 16 out of 17 to Florida now. This was a great rivalry back in the Peyton Manning days. It's kind of fallen on hard times, at least from the Rocky Top side.
Yeah, when I was there, Danny Ainge did not help beat Florida at all. So.
Josh Heupel's done a great job here turning this program around. They beat Florida this week again after this long losing streak. Florida, I'm not sure how good they are, but the hype train's going to start building for Tennessee in the SEC and possibly being a SEC championship game contender. And who knows, an outside college football playoff contender if they keep this up. SEC, I spend a lot of time. I don't bash the SEC, but I bash the SEC, people who think that's the only place there's any good football being played. This is a deep league. And there's some teams that could come out from the outside. Kentucky, I've talked about a lot. Tennessee is one of those teams as well that could crash the Alabama-Georgia victory celebration every year. So this could be an interesting season in the SEC. So I agree there. That's going to be a fun game.
Yeah, I feel like Florida haven't found their mojo yet.
Yeah.
And it's
they're lucky they didn't lose to South Florida last week. That was they barely got out of there with a win.
So I'm hoping that they they're gonna put up a fight, and it's gonna be a good game. But Tennessee's got to watch it because they sometimes get these knucklehead penalties that keep them from getting positive yardage when they need to. But it's gonna be a good game for sure. That's one you got to watch. And if you do watch even 3/4 of it, you're going to have fun watching it, I think. So,
agreed. What do you got next?
I got the Okay, I'm gonna go with the home local team here, Rutgers versus Iowa.
Oh my God! It'd be like watching paint dry, for crying out loud.
Yeah, but I'm only doing that because Iowa's struggling, right? To be to score, and their defense is good, keeps them in games. And Rutgers is both. They struggling a little bit on defense and on offense, but they're grinding. Credit to their coach who came back. And they're going to be playing in New Jersey, so I don't know, we might see a good game there here in the East Coast. So I don't know what you might say about that game.
Again, you look at after watching Iowa play offense for the first 3 games and Rutgers have their problems, this game's going to be a little rough to watch, but I'll turn it on just for you for a little bit.
Look, you don't got to watch it. Just keep it on the phone, keep an eye on the score and see if it goes past 14 after the third quarter.
My second game, this will be the second week in a row I'm looking for a letdown from Texas. Texas is going to Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. Oh, you got that as one of your games? Okay.
I do have that as one of my games going in there. Texas Tech had a little trouble holding on to the football.
Mm-hmm.
Interceptions the last few games or over the course of the season. Texas is averaging 58 points or 55 points a game in the last 4 games of this rivalry that they've won. But I think Texas Tech is on the upswing. Maybe they're not ready to compete this year, but I think this game's going to be very, very tight, high-scoring affair.
Yeah, I think no defense on both.
Yeah, this game could be, a 48-45 win in overtime or something like that. I think this will be a fun, exciting game to watch in the Big 12. And again, another not as big a rivalry as say Bedlam that we talked about. Rivalry, but this is a good rivalry that'll be going away after Texas leaves this conference. So I think it's going to be a fun game to watch just because they're going to go up and down the field.
Yeah, and listen, guys, and if you're hearing Keith's score and you watch the game to see 40, 45, 40, 40, whatever, that might not happen, but you're still going to see a lot of scoring. So it's going to be an exciting game, and it's kind of hard to get to the 40s when some of these guys miss field goals and and then they go for 2 or something silly like that in these college games. It's crazy, but it should be fun to watch.
There's nothing worse when you bet the over in a football game and it's about 70, and you watch the team eat up 10 minutes on the clock and then miss a field goal. You got nothing out of it, and you ate up 10 minutes of my time. So
my last game. I'm not sure if you picked this one. Ohio versus Wisconsin.
I did not pick that one. No.
And I'm thinking Ohio.
Hey, folks, not Ohio State, is it?
Yeah, Ohio State. Yeah.
I don't think it is it?
In Wisconsin, they play tomorrow.
Oh, maybe I might have missed that one.
Wisconsin's not ranked, and I'm thinking they're trying to get that engine revved up. They always play solid defense, but I don't know. I don't think they'll have enough offense to match up against Ohio State and score enough. So,
you're right. It's at Wisconsin. It's the only good thing.
It's at Wisconsin, so it's
with Wisconsin. I thought might have a bounce back year, but they're off to a bit of a rough start. They're 2-1, but they lost their who did they lose to last week? I can't remember who it was now. But not a good start. I think. Look at Ohio State. It needs to keep rolling, and they will. C.J. Stroud is really, really good. He's going to be a first-round draft pick next year.
Heisman Trophy winner?
Possibly. I mean, that's going to start coming into to vision here in the next few weeks. Who the real contenders are there?
If he gets his team 21 points, he's gonna be on that list quick.
It's amazing. Again, just like Alabama, Ohio State keeps replacing these wide receivers with even better ones every time somebody leaves. I mean, Wilson leaves, and they've got 2 great guys in. Ed Buka and Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison, Syracuse, yeah.
So look, if you want to see a good, back and forth game, grinding and out, I think Ohio State at Wisconsin, it's going to be a good game. Even though Ohio State might, have the upper hand on them, I think I think Wisconsin's going to give them a fight. So,
my last game, because I know you love this conference so much.
Oh, it does. Are you going to make Wake Forest?
Clemson at Wake Forest.
I knew it.
Dabo Swinney's owned Wake Forest. I think he's 15 or 16-0 against Wake Forest. Wake's played a little bit better the last couple of years. They've got Sam Hartman back. doing his thing. They played really good football. Good enough to win anyway. They haven't played any stellar competition. They played Liberty, who's not a bad football program. Vanderbilt, who you feel is on the upswing, they beat up pretty good. But this is going to be a big test for Clemson, and they're a very seasoned veteran team. And Clemson's been getting off to some really slow starts this year. They've ended up winning games pretty handily, but they've gotten off to some slow starts. And if they get off to a slow start this week, they could find themselves behind by a couple of touchdowns before they get righted.
Yeah, I mean, but Dabo's one of those coaches, and he's very his football acumen is on point with his defense, and he's gonna have that line battling it out, and they always battle it out, and they keep the Clemson in the game, even when the offense isn't sometimes not clicking right away, and especially after when the second half starts, I don't, because Wake plays down to the competition. I feel like the defensive line for Clemson and the way they're structured, I feel like they're gonna have them at just hold them back a little bit, and Clemson comes out because they can score, and when they start scoring, it usually comes and runs, right? So yeah, I mean, I want Wake to just kind of pull an upset here, after watching your show on Wednesdays.
I think that
but I don't know if that's gonna happen, man.
That Atlantic division of the ACC, I think, is going to be just a wild ride. There's some good teams in that division with Wake and North outside of Clemson, Wake, North Carolina State. I know Syracuse, the 3-0 thing. Look, I got in that thing with I don't know if it was John DeLon or who it was Wednesday night. I wasn't saying Syracuse is going to contend for an ACC championship, but that's a good 3-0 start for Syracuse. We done one game last year. So, and
Syracuse, I mean, I bet, in the late 80s, early 90s, they were a good team, to battle out coming out of the conference. And it's good to see them getting back into a win column for sure.
He's a really good coach, and he's on the hot seat up there.
I wanted to say the Washington game because they're on the up, but I had to pick someone regional game here for all our Northeast.
I would think about Washington as well, because I'm really on the Washington train right now. I think they're back, and they're going to make the Pac-12 a little interesting for USC, who everybody wants to anoint the winner already. Alan, I could have predicted at least 2 of these games based on our previous conversations. So he's with you on Wisconsin, Ohio State, Kansas State, and Oklahoma, of course, because you're a Sooner fan. I'm a little disappointed in Kansas State, actually, and I'm not really optimistic about their chances this weekend. And Duke and Kansas playing each other undefeated. Interesting game there.
Yeah, but have you guys watch out for Washington? They did really good on the transfer portal. They've had a semi-good defense already there, but now they're really solidified their defense, and they can score. And these guys, when they score, it's exciting to see them with the ball in the air, and these guys catching. Man, they got a good young team there, and it's gonna be good to see them back in Seattle and do some things.
Yeah, definitely. I know Alan and Kenny had some more baseball stuff they put up, but I'm going to move on to football. We can revisit those topics. Kenny's was about umpiring. It's a long message here. So, but Kenny, let's revisit that on Sunday, because we'll have much more time to jump into it. So let's move over before we run out of time here and talk about the NFL. So, let's take a look, and recap after a couple of weeks. We start to see, week 1, we don't want to have overreactions. Week 2, we start to see maybe who teams are a little bit. Still not yet. Going to get through this month of September. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, let's just talk about, I guess some teams that should they be worried and are quite as good as they appear.
I'm going to throw something out there before we start talking about this, okay?
Yep, go ahead.
The whole NFL should give the Titans a huge thank you for the book on the Bills, because even though they got beat, I don't think the Bills could have thrown any more out there to leave off the field. And now you have the book on them. And if you can't defend that Buffalo Bills team, shame on you, because Vrabel pulled a Belichick and just made sure that everybody knew what the Bills were capable of doing. So that's all I want to say. Tennessee did a terrible job. But it's only the third. It's only going to be the third game coming in, so we'll be all right. It'll be okay. My bet is still for them to be in the playoffs. So
we'll start with both those teams. I said to you, I think Buffalo's, better than I even thought. I know it's only 2 games in, but they played the defending champions.
Mhm.
They played a team that was in the playoffs and gave Cincinnati, pretty much what they could handle in the playoffs. They've got some flaws. Obviously, they lost their top wide receiver, but is this team in trouble?
Who, the Titans?
They play in a weak division, obviously.
Right.
Right now, I wouldn't be shocked if the Jaguars kind of shocked the world and won that division because it's bad.
Well, we got to look at it. It's only, like I said, it's only going to be the 3rd game here. And look, he is a coach of the year for a reason. They have a few issues there with the quarterback and, with the defense. But I think at the end of the day, when they start playing together, they're going to be okay. That division, like you said, isn't the strongest. And, they have the opportunity of getting out there and flipping it. I think one of the teams that will be able to flip it from losing to winning faster than all the other, like some of the other teams in the NFL. So, again, it's only been 3 games. So,
yeah, the Texans aren't flipping anything. The question is going to come down to, are the Colts as bad as they look?
Oh, yeah, they are.
Which means that's good. But I think the Jaguars are getting, and I know Drew's not here, I hope, because I said Jaguars, which everybody says, I think.
Jaguar.
He's killing me. Drew keeps track of my syntax all the time because I know I mispronounce everything. It is what it is. But everybody I know says Jaguar. Whatever. I think they're better. I think they're making progress faster than we all thought they'd be better. But I think they could be a team that makes a jump, especially in this weak division.
Right. The only thing they have to worry about is their health.
Yeah. And
then their defense being consistent. Because that's been a problem for them in the last 2 seasons is the consistency in the defense. And the only reason was because they were on the field too much. So that was one of the biggest things that held them back defensively. Not because they didn't have the talent though, but because they didn't have an offense to make sure that the defense balanced out on time on the field. So
right. So that whole division is a mess and in trouble. Let's move to Cincinnati as
Ellen.
Up Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, that whole AFC North, it does not look terribly impressive to me right now.
Yeah, right now, it's the first few guys. You guys kind of stay off of the media, relax. If you got teams in some of these conferences, relax. Watch
the games, and you say yourself how ugly the games are. And there are teams that look like they're in trouble.
Yeah, and that happens. I mean,
Bengals haven't just been bad; they've been like getting Joe Burrow killed bad.
Right, and that's a problem that they got to fix quick, right? Taylor has to fix that quick. Listen, you got to protect your quarterback. If you have Joe Burrow on your team and Jamar Chase, you have a chance. And they proved that last year. Now they have to prove it this year. The only problem is, can the ball get out of his hands fast enough, and can Jamar Chase make plays? Mixon hasn't helped because the O-line is not help. It doesn't help as well. Don't give Mixon an opportunity to block. He's too small to be blocking for Joe Burrow anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Lay off the 3 tight end set. It's not going to help you. Lay off the 4 wide receivers. Get yourself a good fullback or put an old lineman back there and help Burrow out. Come on, give him an opportunity. Look, he doesn't need 30 seconds. He doesn't need 25 seconds. Just give the kid, 6 to 7 seconds to make that throw. He doesn't have like 4 or 5 seconds till he gets hit. That's a problem.
This is another division that it could be anybody's to win. And I'll tell you what, I didn't know if the Browns would be able to stay alive until Watson came back, and it's possible they will now. They're 2-1. I thought they'd be at 1-2 at best at this point.
Last night I saw a remnants of Brissett playing for the Patriots, just sitting back there, making the throws and handing off the ball and just managing the game, right? And he even gave the ball off and stumbled, and they still made positive yards.
Yeah. Nick Chubb is really good. One of the most underrated backs in football. Nick Chubb is very good.
He's underrated because he's on a team that's up and down, that's not consistent. So, but he's been one of the most consistent players on that team, averaging 5 yards a year, which is crazy. Which is a stat that they put up last night on Prime.
And we're going to find out a lot about the Ravens this week too. The Patriots we're going to find out about the Patriots this week too. Actually,
yeah, I played the Dolphins, right?
Yeah, no, they're playing the Ravens. So the
Ravens, and then the Dolphins play
historically. And the Patriots looked better last week. Not great. Mac Jones still made some some bad decisions, but better play out of the defensive line. The defense is playing really good football, I think. If they can contain Lamar Jackson, they will have a shot in this game. But and they get away 2-1, I'll be very happy. You got the Packers next week, so
I think this is going to be a tough test for the defense of the Patriots. The Ravens have a pretty fast going offense, and when they get going, they kind of put the pedal to the metal, and they get points. I don't know if that defense it's good enough to withstand them, because the offense also has to make plays to keep the defense off the field, And I don't know if their offense can do that. Can they maintain that clock in that possession?
Needs to be better this week. Keep Lamar Jackson off the field is I think the best game plan.
That's your key to the game right there.
Just to back up for a second, Alan talks about the AFC South being another division with every team finishes below 500. No, it's quite possible that could happen. Yes.
Yeah, but I don't think just because the Titans, just because they've lost these games, don't mean that they got like 15 more games to go, man. Come on, like
start 0-2, and
even last year when they lost Derrick Henry, they were able to go and they still came out 12-5 and lead the division. So
I understand weak division, but everybody else in the division, well, not everybody else. I shouldn't.
And then like last year, the Cowboys were 5-0, and then all of a sudden the debacle happened, and Green Bay was like what 6-1, and then they still, even though they made the playoffs, they didn't have any effect in the playoffs. So you can't crown these people, playoff and Super Bowl contenders in just 2 games.
Green Bay's as much as I don't like Aaron Rodgers, he's twice the quarterback Ryan Tannehill is. So I wouldn't.
You've mentioned and you've said as long as the quarterback is able to manage the game, they don't have to be all-star quarterbacks.
Oh, depending on what else you have around you to do it. I mean, there are teams that have to carry their teams, right? And I think, look, Trevor Lawrence just needs to keep playing mistake-free football, playing, he's not going to be able to carry that team. He's not in position to carry the team yet. But I could see, to answer Alan's question, if somebody's going to win this division in 8-9 or 9-8. I'm convinced of it. So
it's possible. But listen, what you're forgetting about what Trevor Lawrence has now is a coach who knows about quarterbacks, right? He has a good coach, and he has a great wide receiver. He got a couple good wide receivers too.
Look, if this team went 9-8, it'd be a huge improvement, and they may win the division. That's what I'm saying. This team needs to be watched out for now, right? I mean, that would be a tremendous leap for them to go 9-8.
And it's good to see that defense get back to where it was before, because the offense now has an opportunity to let that defense rest a little bit.
Yeah, the defense is playing very good football for sure. Let's jump to the NFC East because Alan wants to talk about his broken Cowboys, which is certainly a reality. This is a team in trouble. I know it's a couple of weeks.
I feel like this is a trap game.
Dak's not coming back for a while. You think the Giants are not? It's amazing how I have to stick up for the Giants and the Jets.
You got to stick up for them. They are who they are. They are who they say they are.
What did Bill Parcells, that fat bastard, excuse my French, hate the man, great coach. What is his famous saying? You are what your record says you are. The Giants are 2-0.
No, that's different, man. This is the beginning of the season.
Again, look at who's got the better quarterback playing in this game.
Neither of them. They both got
played manageable, winning football so far. He's done what he's been asked to do, which is protect the football and lead that offense, and he's done that. And Saquon Barkley has been very good. The Giants' defense has been very good. This team is better. I'm not telling you that this is a Super Bowl contender or 14-win team.
Then I don't want to hear it. If you're not telling me that, I don't want to hear it, because I'm a New Yorker. I'm a Giants fan. We pay a lot of money everybody pays a lot of money for the tickets and whatever to go. But this is a town that wishes they had more winners than they do already.
It's all or nothing. Your team can't be 9-8 and improve under a first-year coaching regime and front office regime. Again, if Daniel Jones got drafted in the 2nd or 3rd round, you'd be thinking he's a really good game manager right now, and he's made great improvement over his 3 or 4 years in the league. But because he got picked 6, he's got that stigma, and that's not his fault.
It's not okay. So it's not his fault, but you gotta bite the bullet that that you're dealt. You gotta play the card that's dealt to you. Listen, this happened to a lot of other quarterbacks who were okay or great coming out of college. I understand that. I'm not naive to that. However, again, I live in New York, and and I expect to see the Giants in the Super Bowl every year. That's just the way I see it as a New Yorker. The same thing with the Yankees. The same thing with the Mets. I expect to see them in the playoffs. I expect to see them in the World Series every year. That's my expectation. If you don't meet it, that's it.
I'm not sure what Cooper Rush playing better because Micah Parsons is the second coming of LT have anything to do with each other.
I think
this is an interesting game, though, in the NFC East. I think you're going to get a barometer where these two teams are. Can the Cowboys stay afloat until Dak gets back? Allen had a comment that he might be back next week against the team formerly known as the Redskins. I'm not sure if that's a fact or not.
No, I don't think he's coming back for another two or three more weeks.
So. Far more time than that.
Yeah. Did they put a pin in his finger?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
I saw Drew Bledsoe try to come back and play with it.
I jammed my finger and it takes me 3 weeks to get back to normal.
Well, we're not world class.
There's not even a pin in it.
Not world class athletes here either, Carlos.
Hey, listen, I was an okay athlete.
I mean,
if I can't write my name because my finger's jammed, I feel like I hate the world.
I get you. This is a big. Can we agree that this is a big test for the Giants or not?
This is a big test for the Giants coaching staff. Can they get everything out of the Giants to play a well-rounded game? That's how I see it, because the Giants are restructuring and they're new to and I don't want to. I'm not going to see the game. I'm probably not going to watch the game. But if they're one of those rebuilding teams, and that's what you want to expect and hear from, right? That's what you want. So.
Robert Butler, welcome, Robert, from Sports Code. Guys, check out Robert's show. He's got a great show on now 5 nights a week.
I'll be on there tonight, guys. So if you want to hear me, bash the Giants a little bit more.
You just killed Robert's ratings for tonight, for crying out loud. Anyway, despite the fact that Carlos will be there tonight, check out Robert. He comes up with the best information, man, faster than anybody that I know. And and Al will probably be following him now since he just backed up Cooper Rush. So listen, I still think Cowboys go nowhere with Cooper Rush, and maybe they don't go anywhere with Dak Prescott, because I have them finished in third in this division.
Yeah, well, I think they'll give the Giants a little fight. The Dallas Cowboys still have CeeDee Lamb. They still have Ezekiel Elliott. They have a few weapons for Cooper Rush. You just got to know how to get the ball to them, and that O-line better hold up. And just give the Giants a little bit of a game. They're probably not going to win this game, but just try to be competitive, man. That's all you can do.
So no pin for Dak, and he did not have surgery of any kind. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
Oh man, that's worse though. Then he has to put his finger in a freaking.
Yeah, well, then he's going to come back and get hurt again.
Oh yeah.
So bad news for them. How about some of the? Let's talk about. Let's see. Who haven't I talked about that I want to get into?
The Jets.
Let's talk about the Jets a little bit. I mean, a nice win with Joe Flacco as your quarterback.
I see Salah's been cashing in on his receipts. So.
Oh my God, he's got to shut up. I mean, you know what? Does Robert Saleh understand where he's coaching or not? Because this isn't freaking San Francisco or Cleveland or Kansas City. You can't be. You want the fans to turn on you. Keep talking while you're talking at press conferences.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I don't want to hear any talk. I want to see it on the field and just get wins. Just win, baby. Let's go. If it's Flacco, it's Flacco. If it's Wilson, I doubt they'll win. But, let's see what the Jets have, right? Apparently, they're one of the best, youngest teams in the NFL. Yeah. Let's see if they can keep that notion going.
Well, that is an improvement of how you've looked at your team here more recently, because you have said they're dead in the water, making no progress.
Oh, listen, I still think they're going to be drafting a new quarterback. I didn't say that I don't think that they're not going to win the division.
Then how did they do against the Bengals this week at home?
I want the Bengals to give them a hard-fought game, and I want to see that defense rise to the occasion, and I want to see Sauce Gardner tame Lamar Chase, but I don't know if that's gonna happen. I see the Bengals come sneaking out a win in this one.
Give me your game of the week and a prediction.
For the NFL,
yep.
The Dolphins game, man.
Who they got? I got to look. I don't even remember who they're playing. Jesus, so much going on in sports. Who can keep track of anything? They must be playing Monday night. No, they're not.
No.
Where are they?
And they're playing Vegas.
I think you're right. Where the heck? Why can't I find them here?
Yeah.
No, the Vegas is playing Tennessee.
What are the Dolphins at? I'm sorry.
What are I already? No, they're playing Buffalo.
Buffalo, yeah.
Big game. We'll find out. There's a team that we'll find out how good they are right now.
Right, the Dolphins. I
Great.
want to see that. It's a good AFC East matchup.
Yeah.
Either no matter what team wins or loses, they're gonna get a lot of out of this game as far as like some some play. It's gonna be good for both of these teams because those are the two teams that I have coming out of the East, and I have the Dolphins over the Bills.
With an uneven victory against the Patriots and a big comeback last week, and Buffalo just killing everybody. I think Buffalo goes down there and shows Miami that they're not in their class just yet.
Woo-hoo.
The other game I'll give you is Tampa Bay hosting Green Bay.
I forgot about that one.
And I'm going to take the guy I hate the most in football, Aaron Rodgers, to beat Tampa Bay. I'm the guys, great hour, Carlos. Great jobs today.
Good job, Keith.
Alan, Robert, who else? Kenny. Who else was here today? Thank you.
Your father, Bob.
We'll see you guys on Sunday morning with the Stream of Consciousness. We'll
Happy Friday, guys.
Next Friday. Keith Angle for Are You Serious? With the Matt New Yorker. Have a great day.